Welcome to the day three. So today it's all about structure. And is it really about the structure? So you probably heard this before. It's your posture, you need to strengthen your core, you're getting older, it's that herniated disc. What if I told you many of the structural problems you've been told might not be causing you pain at all? And that was something that was mind-blowing to me during my healing journey. So most people walking around with no pain have the same abnormalities on their scans that you do. So 64% of people with no back pain have disc bulges or herniation. 61% of the middle-aged adults with no knee pain have tears, meniscal tears. 87% of people over 60 with no pain have arthritis showing up on x-rays. And from my own practice, I had seen it both. I have seen people with chronic pain with arthritis healing or improving, and people with osteoporosis and people with herniated discs. So I want you to think about this for a moment. If disc bulges cause pain, wouldn't everyone with like a disc bulge be in pain? And if arthritis cause pain, wouldn't everyone with arthritis be suffering? And, I have scoliosis. I was pain-free until I experienced chronic pain. Um, and I know people who have scoliosis, bigger curve than I did, with no pain. So the truth is that these changes are often just signs of life well lived, like getting gray hair or laugh lines. So they're normal wear and tear that happens to everyone, whether they experience pain or not. So how do we know if your pain is neural pathway pain? I want you to think about your own experience, pain experience. And as I walk you through them, do any of these sound familiar? So your pain doesn't make structural sense because it could be, and I have four kind of criteria. See if you can relate to it. Your pain moves around your body. It's worse on stressful days, better on vacation. It changes intensity throughout the day or for no clear reason. It started during a particular overwhelming time in your life. Or perhaps you have multiple symptoms. You might have a back pain and headaches or digestive issues. The pain might be in a different parts of the body that seemed unrelated, or you could have symptoms that doctors can't quite explain. It could feel like your pain has mind of its own when some days you feel you can barely move and other days you're fine. Or certain activities can hurt sometimes, but not other times. And the pain is worse when you think about it. Or perhaps you are sensitive soul. You've always been tuned to other people's emotions. You tend to worry about everything and everyone. And you put everyone's needs way before yours. Or perhaps you're a perfectionist who hates letting people down. And I want you to think back to when your pain started or got significantly worse. What was happening in your life? So, for the many women that I work with, the pain shows up during major life transitions, like new baby, job change, moving, relationship stress. Sometimes family conflict can also trigger it often. Overwhelming periods in life, so juggling too much, never saying no, or times when, they feel unsupported and alone. If you remember my story from previous day, my husband was away for a week and that's all it took. If you pain coincidence or it's in line with emotional stress, I'm sorry, I can pronounce it properly. That's a huge clue that your brain's alarm system got activated by life circumstances, not structural damage. Remember the list I've mentioned with, if you pain is structural, if it moves around, if you have multiple symptoms, your pain has mind of its own, it's your sensitive soul, and there's the stress. So when I've mentioned all these different variables, you could be just meaning one. You could be just meaning distress. It doesn't mean you have to have all of them. In my example, my chronic pain, when I started healing journey, it was constant all the time. My pain wasn't moving. It was in the same part of the body, the same intensity. So I just want to give you that little nugget. So especially if you have been somebody who have, seen multiple doctors who can quite figure it out, right? Have you been given multiple diagnoses? That was my case. That didn't seem together. I have structural diagnosis. I've seen different doctors, and everybody was giving me different diagnoses. And I want to say this is very common with neural pathway pain. When the doctors can't find a clear structural cause, they often guess or focus on minor abnormality. They're trying to do their best, right? So, what you may have been told in the past, it could be fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue symptom, multiple herniated disc, degenerative conditions, or you could be told, and this one is really frustrating, it's all in your head. So here's the thing that might feel really frustrating at first. To heal neural pathway pain, you need to believe that you're structurally not damaged. And I know what you're thinking right now. But what if I am damaged? What if I push too hard and make it worse? And I want you to know that fear makes total sense. You've been told to be careful, to avoid certain movements, and to protect your back or wherever part, like wherever you feel the pain, whether that's hands, the neck. So your brain has learned over time that you are fragile. But here's what I've seen, from my clients, from myself, from other people experiences. The more you believe you're fragile, the more your brain sends those pain signals to protect you. The more you believe you're strong and capable, the safer your brain feels. So you don't have to, flip that switch overnight from I'm damaged to I'm completely fine. That would be, asking you way too much too quickly. So instead, I'd like you to just start with small questions. One of them could be, what if this disc bulge isn't actually causing my pain? What if my body is stronger than I've been told? What if my pain is my brain trying to protect me from stress, not structural damage? And for today's practice, I'd like you to take a look back at your pain, at that pain story with fresh eyes. When did your pain start or get worse? What was happening in your life emotionally? The second question is, how does your pain behave? Does it follow structural rules or does it seem to have mind of its own? And the third question to ask yourself is, what have you been told about your body? Are you carrying beliefs about being damaged or fragile? And the last question is, what would you do differently if you knew your body was strong and capable? And if you want to, please share those in the comments below. And as always, if you have any questions, drop it below. I'll be monitoring. So some of the key takeaways that I'd like you to remember from this lesson is abnormal test results are often, normal. Most pain-free people have the same findings. Neural pathway pain doesn't follow structural rules. It's inconsistent and stress-related. Your beliefs about your body matter so much. Fear of damage can actually increase those pain signals. And you don't have to choose between structure or neural pathway. You can explore both while staying safe. And this lesson, you can revisit it because I'd love to talk about when you should revisit the lesson. Anytime you feel scared about damaging yourself further. When you get caught up between the structural explanations for your pain versus neural pathway, when you need a reminder that the test results don't always equal the pain, And when you want to challenge those pain beliefs, the beliefs you have about the pain and your body's fragility. And I'd love for you to remember that you're not broken. You're not a broken structure that needs fixing. You're a whole complex human being whose brain is trying to protect you. It's doing amazing job. Sometimes that protection system gets a little bit over enthusiastic, but that doesn't mean you damage. It means you're human. So I'd love to see you in the next lesson. I think we're doing lesson 4 or 5 tomorrow. Um, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. See you in the next lesson.